Thanks for joining us today to discuss life and godliness with Rick and Angela Carter. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, email us at cartersforhope@gmail.com. That's Carters, the number 4, hope@gmail.com. Any questions you have, we'll discuss in future episodes. Right now, sit back and let's join in on the conversation. Okay.
We're going to try this
We're going to
again.
try it again. We did not know what happened with the audio.
No.
It was crazy.
Who knows? Not
And I never have had that happen before, so I didn't even check the audio. I did my normal procedures, and then we sounded
Surprise! Sick.
I don't know what. You could hear it, and you could understand it.
Sort
It
of.
just sounded so wonky.
It
So
sounded like we had a head cold, and we had that disconnected feeling, which I
Anyway.
did. So maybe that's really how I sound.
It is how you sound. Okay, so what I'm gonna, if this works, we are recording to the audio.
Oh yes, we're recording to the audio.
We are trying to see if this works.
We pray it does. We pray it does.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. We did a little test run on the audio before we're recording it now. If it works, I'm going to try and plug it in right here. If it didn't work, then sorry.
We tried.
We tried. But we're going to redo the topic that we did last time because it was a train wreck.
Yeah, it was a train wreck.
And so now, but you can tell, where are we at? We are back in the trailer. We have had a lot of fun since last September.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We've been in and out, here and there. Of course, we've done a couple episodes here in the trailer, but travel to Europe, travel, all around, travel, Florida, California, and back, and just
this year.
And we've had a good year so far. I mean, we've had some great meetings down in Texas, out in Oklahoma, western Oklahoma. We're in Perry, Oklahoma right now.
4 states so far in
California, 2 conferences in California, one in California, 2 in Florida. And,
1 in Texas and 1 in Oklahoma. So I guess,
Yeah. So we've just been
all in the month of January.
Bombing, bouncing here and there. So anyway, in the last podcast we tried to record that was all messed up. We talked about Family Faith Summit.
Yes, Family Faith Summit. It was awesome. It was good. I enjoyed it. Did not know what to expect. Did not know how it was going to go.
Right.
Was a bit nervous about it.
Right.
But it worked. It was great.
It did. And we didn't have a lot of folks come. We had more tell us that they were trying to, couldn't, try next year and all that type of stuff. But when it came to the program itself, like through the meeting, great spirit, everything went super well. Great time of fellowship. I really enjoyed the fellowship with those that were there.
Yeah.
We just had a good time.
Yeah.
And the folks that came expressed just how God helped them through it and encouraged them. And of course, they were able then to also spend time with their family. And that is the emphasis. That's the goal. One of the things that we see, and it's not just preachers and pastors, home church planners and stuff like that. It's just people. People are so busy. And often, if there's a family type conference, it's just in the church. You're still working your job. And it's tiring. We're doing a family conference this week here in Perry, and it's wonderful. We always have a great time in family conferences. You're worn out, right? Because you're working all day and
you come home,
you've got your routine and all that.
Get things done real quick so you can go to church, be at the service,
right.
And then come home, go to bed and start all over again.
But the family time is not, there's not family grow time, family draw together time. So Family Faith Summit is about that for anybody that wants to come. And then also provides a way for people who are pastoring, starting churches, how missionaries, whoever, that you can combine a conference with a vacation and have a good excuse. And I know that sounds silly that, you need an excuse to have a vacation, but anybody that's pastored and or started a church, you know that
Yep.
sometimes that's exactly what you need. You need an excuse. My kids used to call them minications.
Well, because this is the thing. As a pastor or a missionary, you go to meetings
Everyone thinks you're on vacation
and
when you go to a meeting.
everybody
Yes.
looks at that as a
Oh,
vacation.
you went on a missions trip? Oh,
And
how was your
so
vacation?
if you go to actually take a vacation, sometimes church people unknowingly
Yeah, I
puts
don't think
pressure
intentional.
puts pressure on the
Well,
pastor.
most of them aren't
Most of them
intentional.
don't. There's a few people that are just, well, there's people. So
They're people.
but sometimes they'll put pressure on the pastor and be like, "Well, didn't you just go to, such and such last month?"
Right.
Well, it was a preacher's meeting. It wasn't a
Right.
Yeah, but you were gone for 2 days, or whatever,
Right. Yeah, 2
Or
whole
didn't you
days.
go preach at such and such church and you were gone, you took extra days or whatever.
Right.
So sometimes you get that pressure and you don't want the church to feel like that you're just constantly taking off. So having the Family Faith Summit meeting gives
She
them
did it like this, like it's like
gives them an
it's
excuse.
it's not this. We had a great conference.
Gives
I felt
excuse.
like God really helped
It
people.
was
That was
awesome. It was really awesome.
but it gives you kind
The-
of
yeah.
you can do spiritual and personal family stuff.
Yeah.
And there's classes for all of the different ages. Adult singles, your adult singles can come with you,
Mm.
youth, and then we had nursery, and so
Yeah.
the whole family can come. And then for the adults, it was couples focused. It was focused on your marriage, focused on,
All kinds of
all
things.
kinds of just family,
Finances.
parental, all
Yeah.
of that. So it's
Everything.
like a couples conference for the whole family, really
Yeah.
in many ways. But the teens and the youth really had a great time as well. And
It was really good.
and the adult singles and all of our teachers did just fantastic.
We had good teachers.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And all of them are coming back next year. So
Yeah, they were all excited to do it. Even with the low number of attendance, they gave it their all and they didn't shortchange anybody.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome. And even the people that came from I think we had 4 families that came and all of them said that they loved it.
And
And they were not upset that it was a small crowd. As a matter of fact, I had one tell me that, because it was so small, they felt more comfortable asking questions or talking or sharing, and so they were able to get a little bit more help. So,
Yeah.
that I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, so we'll be releasing the dates for next year here
Hopefully
pretty soon, and looking forward to that.
Look for our post on Facebook. We share pictures from the
And we had a really cool experience. Okay, so we went on Thursday. We went with one of the couples, and you said 4, but there were actually 5 families that come. One of the families, we went to Disney Springs, and we took the boat over and went to some of the different resorts. And you can go and just kind of walk in and look at them and take the buses. Once you're in there, you can just take those around and whatnot. And we had a really cool time doing that. And at the New Orleans, Narlands resort, they had gluten-free beignets. Oh,
they were quite nice.
they were lovely.
Yeah, it was really good.
Very
And it was
lovely.
neat because we actually rode boats.
A
We
boat,
rode a bus,
a tram, like the
a
Sky
sky monorail, and then the sky.
oh yeah, Skylift.
Yeah.
Um,
And what else?
we didn't ride a water buffalo though.
No, we didn't.
No.
Not this trip. Yeah, so we rode 4 different
Yeah, it was
transportations.
pretty cool.
It was kind of nice.
And buses. Did you say buses?
I think I did, but
Okay. Anyway, so we went did that, and then we went out to California. Had a great conference out in
it
California.
was very
Just
good.
really saw God work, and I want to talk at some point just about pursuit of the presence of God in the service. And sometimes I think that we talk about revival, we talk about um the movement of God, and that's what, but I think we really experienced that out in California
Yeah.
at the meeting. God really showed up, and it was very evident. And what's the difference when it's God and versus being manufactured by men? Because I think there's sometimes that takes place where people try and manufacture an emotional experience and so forth. It wasn't an emotional experience, it was a God experience. And there is a big difference. I've been in both of those type of things. I don't know why, but for some reason when we were in California, I really was able to sit back and just evaluate and observe and absorb a lot. And so we'll talk about that in the future. Just thoughts on that, because I think it's something that people sometimes don't even understand what we're talking about when we talk about the movement of the Holy Spirit in the services and God just working in that way. And that's unfortunate. I think it's more rare because I think, well, for some reasons that I observed this week or last week, and I feel like it'll be a help to folks. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that
I
maybe
think
in
so.
our next. I think in our next episode
Maybe
we'll
our
talk about
next
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wish we could probably lead you tomorrow. So
we're at our house. Oh, it's so wonderful.
I don't know if you can tell, but we're a little bit
And
excited
we're
about
out
that.
at Perry Lake, and we're watching these geese out here.
Yeah.
The lake is covered with geese. However,
Okay, really?
okay, no, I just think people need to know this.
Really?
They're not all Canadian
Wow.
geese. And Angela said, they're not all Canadian geese. And I said, well, how can you tell? Because they're a long ways away, to be honest. And even in the field, even in the field, they were a long ways away. And so she's like, I said, what'd you do? Check the real ID? And she said, I checked the real ID with my eyes. So,
All right.
so I don't know. Do you know what
Your time's coming. You just wait.
what nationality they are? Are they American geese? Or are they Mexican geese? Or do you know?
They're North Dakotans.
North Dakota geese. Anyway, so just in case you were ever wondering, Lake Perry is the place to come with more domestic varieties, not these illegal Canadian immigrant geese. We're against them.
All right.
All right. Topic today, same as last time. Hopefully can hear it. And so the topic is enjoying church with your children.
Yeah. Enjoying church with your children.
And so this was a requested topic about how do you enjoy church when you have little kids, right? And how to deal with little children in church services and so forth. And so
this is more for the mamas.
Well, no, a lot of dads need to be involved in this.
Well, they do need to,
Right.
but I'm just saying.
Okay, so and can I just say, early on when we had our first couple, I was pastoring. We were starting a church in Kansas. It's difficult when you're starting a church. It is all on mom, But then when we went to college, it wasn't all on Angela because I was there in the service with her. And if the dad's sitting there with her, and even if he's not sitting there with her, there's things that he can do to.
Oh yeah, even while you were preaching,
when I was preaching, that
you
I would
still would.
So, you kids better watch it.
Look at here.
You're making me look bad in front of God. Anyway, so we had some things that we did. Of course, when they're little infants, there's not a lot you can do other than just, hold them,
rock them,
rock them.
Yeah.
Let me say this though. One thing you can do and need to do is if they do start getting fussy,
take them out.
Take them out. Don't let them be a distraction to everyone else.
Yeah.
Don't sit there like because you're not able to pay attention when they're like that either.
No.
So it's not like you're getting something when they're all fussy because your attention's there. Don't let them be a distraction for everyone. Take them out, calm them down, come back in.
Yep.
If they're old enough, take them out, correct them, right? Look at me. We're not going to act this way. We're not going to do this, and so forth. And if necessary, a little more intense fellowship as they're getting a little bit older. Don't let them become a distraction to God working in the entire service for everyone because you're just determined to not move if you're going to, you're going to make them stay there kind of thing.
Well, and I do get because, especially when they're young, it feels like you're in and out, in and out, in and out. And the temptation is just to stay out and not go back in and try to hear the service. I will say I understand because we had 4 kids. The older 3 were a year apart and a year and a half in between the youngest and the third. And so I get it. It was a lot of work, but I need to hear the preaching, even if it's just in snippets. I needed to hear it. And so I get it. I get that urge to just stay out and not go back in, but that's not doing you any good. And it's not doing them any good because you're not training them how to sit in service.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about cry rooms?
I mean, I like cry rooms, but at the same time, having been in many cry rooms, sometimes they turn into a distraction, especially if there's other ladies in there.
And they go in and talk?
You get in there and you get to talking. You're not listening and all of that. And so, I mean, for a moment till you get your kid calmed down, But then,
or if you're nursing.
or if you're nursing, but then go back in. Don't stay out. I know it's frustrating. I do understand and I get it. But you're doing a disservice to the children and training them on how to sit and listen. And I know you're fidgeting with the kids and you're telling them to be quiet, you're all of that, and it's
All that makes
distracting.
noise and distracts other people too.
Yes, but at the same time, you are still hearing, even though maybe you're not getting to devote your full attention. You are hearing bits and pieces,
Yeah.
and you need it. You need
Yeah.
it,
Just make sure
especially
that
with young kids. You need
when
it.
you're telling them to be quiet, that you're doing it in a way that's quiet and not.
Yes. Well, we trained our kids to a snap. When they were little, of course, I was snapping. I would be like, be quiet. But then as they got a little older, all I had to do if they were talking, all I had to do is snap. And they would turn around and look because they knew that meant that they were doing something wrong. So, I mean, there's ways you can train them and teach them that are quiet and not a
Well,
distraction.
snap's not too quiet, but it's not just.
But it's not
distracting.
distracting.
Yeah.
And I also, I don't whistle very well. So I also trained them to it's just a little noise. I don't know. It's not very loud, but they know whenever I do that, I'm talking to them.
I can whistle loud.
Yeah, I cannot. Which worked out in church. It worked out perfect.
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't be whistling loud. So here's some stuff we did when they were not infants anymore. When they were old enough we were going to start bringing them into the service on a
About 3.
to sit basis. Yeah. So our nursery went up to 3, and then we would bring them in. But we started when they were 2, preparing them. Actually, we didn't wait till they were 3.
No.
We started preparing them at 2, and we would do daily quiet time, not sleep.
No.
Sit and be quiet and learn how to be quiet. It was
On
training.
the couch.
It was quiet training, but we just called it quiet time for the kids. So quiet training. They would sit on the couch.
Yep.
I
would give them a book, usually a picture book at 2. I'd give them a picture book. I didn't do too much coloring at 2, but I would do picture books because I wanted them to learn to sit and not make noise. And so they would sit quietly. And Brother Mike always taught us, they could sit a minute for every year of their age. So
right, but that's like when you're starting.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to say. So like when I first started, they were 2. So I'd have them sit for about 2 to 3 minutes and just sit quiet.
For a few weeks.
Yeah, for a few weeks. And so what I did was I set them on the couch, gave them a picture book. I would sit down with my Bible and I would read a couple of verses. I know 2 to 3 minutes isn't that long, but you can read several verses and you can meditate on them in 2 to 3 minutes. So, but I was teaching them when Mom reads her Bible, it's time to be quiet.
Right.
It's time to sit still and be quiet. And then, of course, when they got older, it was their time to read their Bible as well. So, but it was just teaching them to sit and be still and be quiet.
That is a lost thing in our culture. And I know kids are kids, and I'm for kids being kids. I don't like it when kids are robots in church, because they are kids. I don't think that we ought to take the kid out of them. Discipline does not mean rigid, emotionless,
Military conformity.
Yeah, I don't think that that's how kids ought to be. I know they could become that. I don't think that's how it ought to be.
No.
I think that a parent doesn't want to lose the personality and the whimsicalness of being a kid,
Of course.
But at the same time, they do need to be disciplined in their ability to discipline when it's needed, to discipline at the right times. And so to be able to sit still, we would train them. Angela did a great job with that, and she would work with them through the week. And then at, mid 2, we would start bringing them in just usually on a Sunday night.
Sunday night or Wednesday night.
We would sit where we could easily take them out. Don't sit up front with them, right? Don't sit to where you're going to be a distraction when, not if.
Don't sit in the middle section in the middle of the pew.
Yeah. Just, and just tell people, hey, I'm trying to train my kids.
Do you mind if we sit here?
Can we sit here in this area? If there's someone that normally sits there. And I think most people, some will not, but most people would be glad to help you
Train.
provide that. And so we would do that training outside, and then we would do that in also. And, we did let them color. Some things about that, though, don't let them color in the songbooks. Don't let them color in Bibles. Don't let
Right?
them, don't destroy church property with their
No.
pens. That has to be, you have
Don't
to be
let them
observant
crumble the crayon all over the pew and floor. That's
and grind it in.
crazy,
Yeah, there's things that you just have to be attentive to, and they're
Yes.
kids. They're gonna do some things that are, but as much as possible, keep them from damaging things with that type
Mhm.
of thing.
I didn't give them toys because toys make noise and they bang them and all of that
Like
kind of stuff.
toys make noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I stuck to just coloring or writing because also I wanted to teach them to eventually when they were able to read and write to take notes.
Right.
And so,
Right.
I would just
And we would do that actually, Angela, numerous times when they were little, even before they could write, she would say, draw a picture of what you learned during the service,
Mhm.
right? And so at the end of the service, show us the picture, and they would draw a picture. Usually it's the preacher up there and their
Yeah.
family, and maybe, something they hear, they draw a picture about it. And that kind of teaches them to be listening,
Right.
and also, to how can I put it into comprehension
Yeah.
for them, and
Right.
so that was actually a real beneficial thing, I thought, for them. And then as they got older,
Yeah.
they took notes and
Yeah.
so forth.
I tried to teach them not to get up and down during the church service. So we always went to the bathroom before the service. We always, got a drink, all of those things that, they start whining about in the middle of church. And then I always tell them, no, we did it before church. We're not going to do it right now.
Mhm.
You can wait. And just teaching them to
Right, that's a huge thing,
putting
that
down that.
discipline, like, oh my goodness, some people are, like, constantly up and down and in and out for the service, and it's so distracting to everyone in the service. Kids can go an hour without using the toilet if you
Don't give them
take them
anything to drink.
if you take them before,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, they're that just is a discipline thing, learning to control your bladder and so forth. And not that there won't be sometimes an emergency, but it shouldn't be every service.
Right.
That's a pattern, not an emergency. One thing I wanted to say, I've seen this several churches we've been in, where at the end of the service, the pastor had maybe a box of candy or something like that, and any of the kids that took notes could bring up their notes that they took in the service and show
Yeah.
it to him, and could get a piece of candy. And I thought that was kind of a neat way the pastor could be involved
Yeah.
in helping train the kids
That's
to
a good
listen
idea.
and so forth. So I liked that. And I think that's something that, also gives an engagement, kids to the pastor, of a positive engagement that way, which sometimes doesn't always occur. And so I think that's a beneficial
We
thing.
were out in Arizona and the pastor's wife had these sheets. She got them off online. She said she printed them for free offline, but it was and it had different sections. What was the text? Draw a picture of the
Yeah.
sermon, and then it had different boxes for you to do different things while you're listening to take the notes. And so she handed those to all the junior church kids that came in for service. And so that's another way, to help them learn to be involved and
Yeah, I
take
think that's
notes.
good
And yeah,
stuff.
so there's all kinds of resources now. When our kids were little,
Well, there may have been resources, but
here's a notebook, here's a
finding them
crayon.
was the problem. Finding
Yeah.
resources was a problem.
I would recommend this too. I see this a lot where people will just hand kids their cell phone for them to be quiet.
Don't
Don't do
that.
that.
Don't
Don't
do
do
that.
that. Yeah.
First of all, it's a bad habit, because then they are completely distracted when they're doing those cell phone,
Yeah, they
playing
don't listen
games
to
and all that type of
anything.
stuff. But also, it in what you do, what you have them do is not just to keep them distracted. It is to train them. So everything you do with your kids, you ought to be thinking, how am I training them? How am I preparing them for the future? And if their habits from youth up to that point is that when I'm in church, I play games,
I play on my
I play on
phone.
my phone, that's a bad habit then
Mhm.
to end up having to break. Very
Yep.
difficult. So don't make the phone their babysitter during service.
Plus, I think it doesn't help their creativity
Right.
either because when you're listening to the message, you're envisioning and you're thinking and
Right.
but when you're just watching a phone, you're just zoned out. You're not using your creative thinking skills or
Right.
any of those things.
Right. And so there's a lot of benefits to not doing phone stuff with your kids, obviously, but also there's the aspect of the discipline that you're trying to instill is more than just distraction, right? Discipline, not just distraction.
Right.
And I think also that the hardest person to discipline is yourself. Because it's easier to give them something that keeps them out of your way than
Mhm.
to train
Than
them.
to train. Yeah. I know. It's hard. It's hard work. It's exhausting. But when they're little, I mean, you won't have to do it for long,
You don't have to do it.
really.
No,
Eh,
not forever. It
no.
takes a little time up front, and it's difficult if you have numerous kids, small
Yes.
kids at first.
Because it feels like you're always in that cycle. But
Yeah.
the older ones actually end up helping the younger ones
Right.
if you train them
Right.
to do it. But then you have freedom for many, 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 many years.
Yes.
I like the little bit of the little bit of work and frustration in the beginning is nothing compared to the amount of
I agree. Okay, so now let's talk about this, and this was the other side of the topic, and that we discussed was about not just during service, but before and after service, a parent's responsibility with their kids. Because part of services is not just hearing and understanding the preaching, but part of services is the fellowship. I mean,
Mhm.
we enjoy the fellowship. We want to, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, being able to engage with people and fellowship with people is a big part of going to service. And
Yeah.
it's a wonderful part. It's a good part. But that should not be that then when that time comes, that means you ignore your kids and they run like wild hoodlums before the services or after the services.
Yeah.
Couple reasons that that's bad. One, older folks in the church are not always as stable on their feet. And if kids are running in the auditorium and even around the doors and stuff, it's not uncommon for older people to be kind of knocked sideways or, become unstable or get knocked down or things like that when kids are being unruly and running and undisciplined. The other side of it is as you get older, and Angela's told me about this as she's gotten older. Wait, it's me actually. As you get older, you do get to this place where noise and chaos, it just is it's a troubling to you, right?
Yeah.
You just don't have the capacity to really withstand it. And so while you might be as a parent of little kids, you have this
You're
tolerance. You get this tolerance, like I can avoid it all day long,
I just ignore it.
Yeah, but people that are not around it constantly, it becomes a very big agitation.
As
And-
Oma and Opa, the longer that we're just the two of us, quiet in our little bitty house over here.
Now, it's not that we cannot be engaged with
Right.
little kids when we're prepared for it. When they're with us and we're prepared for it, it's not as bad. But just in a normal everyday setting,
It's like
it becomes overwhelming. And here's why I say that. Because we are still very kid focused, right? I mean, we want to be around our grandkids. We want to be around little kids. We like kids. But the older you get, the more difficult it is
Yes.
to manage that. And here's why I bring it up. Not because of us, but because in reality, there are people that because if that's going on, they're not going to stay in fellowship.
No.
So you getting some fellowship might be at the expense of other people getting fellowship if your kids are being loud and unruly.
Well, not only that, but having a knee replacement and a hip replacement, I am way more cautious about when I'm at church, walking, what I'm doing. And there's been a couple of times, even with just my own grandkids, that I didn't see them standing down there and I went to walk and I ran into them and like jolted me because I don't want to fall. I don't want to
Right.
damage my knee. I know that I have a brittle kneecap. And so it's like those fears, and I'm not
No, you're
super
young.
old
You're
yet.
very, very young. You're more vintage than old.
Yeah. Thanks, Debbie. But then there are older people that have way more health issues
Right.
and, walkers and stuff like that. I can
Canes,
only
yeah.
imagine how they feel
Correct.
because I know how I feel.
Yeah, so I think that there's those aspects of why it's important not to let your kids just run and be in chaos. Number 2 reason is because kids that are not supervised and are running and being chaotic are
Trouble.
likely to do things that they should not do. They're likely to break things,
Yep.
damage things, hurt things,
Yep.
hurt other kids,
Yep.
all that type of stuff, and that causes problems. It causes contentions and all that. So it's one of those things that if your kids are set free to play without restriction, it needs to be that you are visually observing
Yes.
them. It doesn't mean you can't be having a conversation, but your eyes need to be on the kids if they're playing so that you can step in and intervene if there was something going on that should not be, or so that you can say, hey, you can play, but let's keep the volume down. Let's not be so loud, right? Keep the volume. Maybe if you're outside on a playground screaming and yelling, that's not that big a deal.
Right.
But in the building, let's not be that.
Our rule when the kids were little was they had to be in the same room I was, and they had to be able to see my face. I had to be able to see them. If I couldn't see them, it was automatic discipline. They knew that. Yes. No.
But it was correction.
Because we had already set the rule. We had already trained them, already taught them. So whenever they broke that rule, then they were in trouble.
The Bible talks about guide me with thine eye, right? And so that being able to see and being able to give that look.
No, don't do that.
You know what that look. You knew when you were a kid, you knew that look.
Yes.
That was like, and better stop now. Better stop now. Better not push the envelope.
And and they knew. And so like when it was time for us to leave, because they were in the same room as I was, because they could see me and I could see them, I didn't have to yell and be like, Carters, let's go. I just had to, I had a symbol. And when I did this, it meant, round up and let's go, you know? And so,
or let's go. That
was let's go.
Okay.
So anyway, so it was just things like that. So I didn't have to yell. I didn't have to be rude. I didn't have to do any of those things. And they could see me. I could see them. I was watching them, watching out for them, because, sometimes things happen. And if your kids aren't in your view, they may get blamed for something that maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but you couldn't see them and nobody else was around, so there was no witness.
Right.
So it's protecting them and it's protecting you, and it's just better that way. You just need to make sure that you monitor them.
Yes, absolutely.
Kids unsupervised get into big time trouble.
That's right. Yeah, and not always intentionally. Sometimes it's just an accident, but it's still wrong, know, so it has to be dealt with in a way.
And if you do send your kids out to play, make sure there's an adult out there.
Don't send them out of the church without adult supervision.
Yes.
Number one, bad things can happen.
Yes.
Two, there's bad people in this world. We live in a time where there are bad people in this world who have evil intentions and who are predators.
Yes.
And I don't want to be a paranoid parent all the time, right?
I do.
But being attentive to your children is a very important thing.
Yeah. I'm that way with my grandkids too, man. Oof. Yeah. I don't let them out of my sight.
I think that there's a difference between being an attentive parent and being a helicopter parent, though.
Well, sure. I try not to be a helicopter, but I do helicopter parent.
Having that, the day where you could send, I'm Gen X, we're Gen X.
We could go outside.
You got sent outside, but we also never even locked our house. We grew up in Western Kansas.
Or our cars.
Nothing was locked. The keys were in every vehicle, in the ignition.
We didn't worry about those things because those things didn't take place as
not as much. Yeah,
I know they did, but not as much.
And not where we were.
Right.
Hardly at all. But when you're in a bigger city, when you're, you need to be aware. Now, if you're out in the country and that's maybe different.
Maybe even then.
But I just think that, let your kids run, play, and do things. I'm for that. I'm for kids playing, even doing risky things when they play. I'm for that, right? Especially the boys in particular. I think boys ought to, break stuff. I'm talking about their arms and legs. And
we were walking in the airport the other day, and there was this mom. She had two boys. She had her roller bag, Both of those boys.
She was doing something at the counter, and one of the boys helped the other one onto the roller bag, and he started pushed him because there was a
down ramp,
and they were headed right toward it.
She's running over there.
She caught him, and I'm like, that looked like lots of fun to me. She goes, right?
But I actually, and what I said was, whew, that was a disaster waiting to happen. That's how we moms think.
Dads are like, all right, safety third. Have fun and don't tell mom, So
we're not saying don't let your kids be kids. Just be wise about it.
I mean, look, if your kids are going to break their arm, be there to film it at least. You know what I mean?
Wow. Or to at least take them to the hospital.
Anyway, but yeah, it's okay to be kids. It's okay to experience. By the way, let me go back to this too. Part of letting your kids learn about consequences is letting them do things that might put them at a minimal physical damage And breaking your arm is not the end of the world. Everybody I knew growing up broke
Broken arm.
something. Broke something. You know, I broke a collarbone. I didn't break an arm or a leg. Joshua broke his arm, what, twice?
His wrist
Yeah.
twice, yeah.
Seth
Seth broke his foot.
He broke his foot, yeah.
The girls didn't break anything.
But they're girls.
I didn't break anything.
Yeah, you're a girl.
Mhm.
You did too. You broke your hand. Punching her neighbor. Angela was violent. I mean, she's violent. How's your hand?
Better than your leg.
So anyway, the point is, it's okay to let them experience even those type of things. But let me put it like this. At church, the goal is to teach them to be attentive to the Lord and worshipful and that. So play is a secondary thing. It should not be the primary thing. And teaching them to have a reverence for the auditorium, teaching them to have a reverence for the things of God, the pews and the hymn books and their teachers and the people that are around them, teaching them to be respectful to the people around them and not rude and not, undisciplined. I mean, part of respect to others is discipline of self. And so all of that is kind of part of the training process. And so you can enjoy fellowship with other people and keep an eye on your kids. You can do both. Ignoring your kids is a problem. And I'm going to say this specifically to the dads that are not listening right now. Okay, so ladies, make your husband hear this because it is...
Go to minute 38 and have them listen.
Right. And so here's the thing. It should not be that mom is responsible for attendance to the kids every moment you're at church, before and after. Especially if you're a pastor and you're in the pulpit, but before and after service, unless you're counseling someone, you need to be helping with the kids.
Yeah.
The kids need to know dad is engaged in correction, observation, and discipline. And just your presence will help with that. And it shouldn't all fall on mom, like dad just he's doing his own thing. He's talking to the guys and he's not involved. You need to be involved. You need to be taking attendance to your kids and making sure that that's taken care of. You're the leader of your home. So properly lead. Right. That doesn't absolve ladies from being part of that at all, And if you're sitting with your wife in the service,
you take them out.
You need to be part of that. And if they need discipline, you take them out. And yeah, absolutely. Don't put it all on your wife. Be the leader of your home and take responsibility for that. And it's important to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if she's a stay-at-home mom, she's with them all the time.
Right.
And I know myself, I felt like all I did was discipline. And so when you got home, I was ready to take a break from discipline. And
dads feel like the problem dads have is they feel like when I come home, all I do is discipline the kids. So they never get to spend time with me. That's not discipline time.
But moms feel that way all day long.
I get that. No, I get that. But what I was going to say is that's why, Dad, it's important that you do take away from the things that you would otherwise do, like, just watching your games and doing your hobbies and these type of things, and spend that time with the kids so that, engage them in the hobbies, engage them in the activities, and be connected with them. So it's not just discipline. Now leave me alone so I can do my thing. That's an important aspect to it.
And it does give mom a break, and so she can feel like she can enjoy the kids as well and not just discipline them all day long. And that also goes into church.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, I think this is going to be just a little bit shorter than normal, but
not too bad.
We tried to recap everything we said in the last one,
which I can't remember everything. So.
Right. We have I don't even remember what were we doing.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So if you have suggestions.
For suggestion, topic suggestion, or anything like that, you can email us at carters4hope@gmail.com. You can comment on our Facebook post, Life and Godliness.
Right.
On any of the posts, you can
like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, message us on Spotify, which thank you guys who have messaged on Spotify.
Yes.
I try to respond to let you know that we're paying attention.
Yeah.
What else?
Also, if you would just keep listening.
Yes, yeah. If you find it helpful, share with your friends.
Absolutely.
Tell them to listen and keep a watch out for the dates for the next Family Faith Summit.
Yes. God bless.